I'm going to share in this video how I mass produced 6 gorgeous, beautiful Easter cards. This has a postage theme. I used 1 nesting die for the bunny. I used multiple rub-on transfers, and what made it go quicker is running a lot of these through my die cut machine. So I'm super excited to share these cards with you guys today. Hey everyone, it's Joy here. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. Let's go over some of the products that I'm going to be using. This is scrapbook.com's Nested Bunnies. I'm just going to use one size. This is Waffle Flowers Postage Collage Die. Then we have our Wild Blooms Rub-On Transfers from scrapbook.com. Arden's Field Notes Rub-On Transfers. This is 49 and Market's Color Swatch Grove. This is 49 and Market's One Perfect Day. It's so gorgeous. And then 49 and Market's Teal Rub-On Transfers. I'm also going to be using some large background stamps. So this is, oh my gosh, I can't even think. This is Hero Arts, I think it's called Birdsong, and it's got this beautiful text on it, and I want to take my bunnies, which I have die cut from Craft Cardstock, and for all of the backgrounds of the bunnies I'm either going to use the Birdsong, so 3 of them are using that. The other 2 are using Tim Holtz Ticking and Grain stamp set. I'm inking this up with Hero Arts White Unicorn ink just to add a little bit of texture to these bunnies. So 3 will be this and 3 will be the other background stamp. Then in my Misty, I'm going to stamp my sentiments, and I thought it would be great just to kind of get those done ahead of time. I'm using scrapbook.com's Easter Wishes, and I'm using the coordinating die to die cut them out, keeping the sentiments really small. So I have one that says, I have some that say, "He is risen, wishing you a lovely Easter, happy Easter," and Easter Wishes is all the ones that I used for the 6 cards that I made. I also used some really gorgeous pattern papers, and those are from scrapbook.com. I used, let's see, Sunkissed, Blossom, and Oak Lane, along with some candy paper. So all of their fun paper pads. I have die cut from white mixed media cardstock from scrapbook.com using the Waffle Flower Postage Collage. So this is the background. If you wanted to keep this even simpler, you don't even have to do this, because this is again about kind of mass producing all of these cards. We're not going to be doing any coloring, anything like that, which is really nice, but you're going to get these beautiful, colorful Easter cards. Some of these cards on this collage die, I am going to add images in each of the little boxes. Some of them are going to overlay some of the boxes. It just gives you a really different look. And so what was funny is I've had this on my mind for a really long time to do. And then of course, when I start going in and looking for rub-on transfers, I cannot help myself but to buy multiple rub-on transfers because they're all so gorgeous. I had so many of them in my cart, and then I just had to narrow them down to 5 of these packages because they're just so pretty. So once I've got all of those placed, I ran that through my die cut machine, and now I'm just pulling off the release paper, and now that's already done. So some of the smaller images I will bring in, I'll just use either the little tool that comes in your rub-on transfers, or you can use a little flat like acrylic end of your Pick Pro tool. If you have that, that works really nicely. So some I will do that, and some I will just run through my die cut machine. But like I mentioned, this really did go fairly quickly for die cutting everything, getting everything ready, you know, that kind of thing. So this patterned paper for the bow for the bunny and the A2 size background is from the Sun-Kissed paper pad. I just went through all my paper pads looking for things that were going to be beautiful and match. Now, I do take this off later and add 1mm foam adhesive because I really wanted that popped up against the background and I was feeling kind of lazy in the moment. So I am going to take that off the background, and all of the postage collage die panels will have 1mm foam adhesive behind them, and the bunnies will have 2. So I'm just going to place this right here in the center. Even though the bunny's the focal point, you almost look past it to kind of see the pretty background, which I kind of don't mind either. I think the whole thing just turned out so pretty. Okay, I'm going to be using the One Perfect Day rub-on transfers. Now, these are wedding rub-ons. I'm going to be using Oak Lane and Blossom for this, and I'm picking the ones that don't have like a ring or a balloon in them, but the color profile of these were stunning. So I love the striped background, the kind of, it kind of reminds me of an Argyle or it's a Harlequin background, the green. It's kind of sagey green. It's gorgeous. And so I made 2 cards using this one package. So you can see here, I just placed one big image across the center of the die cut. Then I'm going to place a few more, just kind of filling in some of the white space. I wasn't worried about this card, keeping it with the images inside each of the little squares. I just kind of depended on what images I was looking at. Some of these bigger ones I want to use. So I want to just place it over the whole background. I added some of those butterflies, of course, some leaves down on the bottom right. Then which I didn't do on the first one, and I did it off camera, but I am using Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous Field Notes, and I'm using frayed burlap with an acrylic block, and I am just going to stamp away. I love that we can just add a little bit of detail with the stamping, and it really made a huge difference. So when I said there was no coloring, I guess this really isn't coloring, right? We don't have to color the images, and you can leave this part off. I just loved the addition, adding these kind of things. You could also do it with postage themed stamps, and that'd be great. Okay, so this one I am going to contain the images inside of the little boxes, the little postage boxes. And oh my gosh, I think these 2 might be my favorite out of all of them. I just really love the color profile and the fun pattern paper that went with it. I just am so in love with these. I think these are just really interesting and fun Easter cards. So again, super easy to do. Really, you could just kind of cut up all of your images, get all your die cutting done, and then you can just put them together. It really doesn't take long, especially again, because if you use your die cut machine, you're not having to rub all of these by hand. That's just a nightmare. So I'm just cutting out some more butterflies. Look at those beautiful roses. I'm kind of deciding where that butterfly needs to go. And I'm also trying to kind of think, where do I want my die cut bunny to be? Especially if I have some images that I'm really loving. Maybe I don't want to cover up the whole image, right? So you can lay it out ahead of time before you make anything permanent, so you can decide, do you want horizontal or vertical on your card? Where do you want your bunny to be? Where's your sentiment going to be? So that's why I did all of that stuff ahead of time. So then it's just time to lay down your rub-on transfers, and then you can just put your card together. Just adding a few more, or another butterfly here. Cute. And then bringing in that Field Notes stamp set with the frayed burlap, which just happened to be the most perfect color on here. It turned out so beautiful. And then of course, having all the bunnies craft really kind of keeps that simple, but adding that little bit of stamping to it. You could add a floral, you could do anything, but I kind of wanted it to be more simple since we had so many floral things going on in the background. So that is why I went that route. And then using an acrylic block goes way faster this way rather than a MISTI. You don't have to constantly reset it. I'm not worried about getting a perfect stamped image. And as a matter of fact, all of them, I am doing a second generation stamping, which means I'm inking up my stamp, stamping it off on a scratch piece of paper first, and then taking it to my cardstock panel. Let's center that in that gorgeous green cardstock. Oh, it's so pretty, or pattern paper, excuse me. Let me get the bunny here. So this bunny has the striped bow as the other background bunny does, and then the other bunny has the green and white Harlequin background for the bow. So I just kind of mixed and matched that way. But I really love how these ones turned out. And I was just taking my Pick Pro tool and bending the bows a little bit so they weren't so flat. They felt a tad bit more 3D. And then we have our sentiment. One of them says Easter, or excuse me, Happy Easter. And then Easter, nope, I covered it up. Which one is it? Happy Easter, and then wishing you a lovely Easter. And then we can pop that guy in place, and we have that one done. As soon as I can decide where I'm going to put that, where I'm going to put that sentiment. I don't know why I was struggling. I just was. But there we go. Let's put that other one together. I love how I was able to get both of these out of that same pack. So you could just get 1 or 2 packs if you're going to make a lot of cards of these rub-on transfers and just kind of keep it all in the same color palette. In the patterned papers that you get from scrapbook.com, you get 5 of each pattern, which is really fantastic. So you could get, you know, a lot of cards that way. So you could do it a much more simpler than me having all these different colors and everything to try to figure out. You could pick one of these, one color palette, and that would go even quicker, but I just couldn't decide. So that's what I went with. Okay, I am using the ticking and grain stamp, but I'm going to use it, you know, going the vertical way on a piece of solid cardstock from the Candy paper pad, because I couldn't find the right color to match this next one, which is the Teal rub-on transfers. These ones I'm going to really, for the most part, try to keep in their own little boxes. Some of it overlaps a little bit. I don't mind. I mean, there's no rules. You know what I mean? Like, just make it look good. Just put the pretty stuff on there. That's all that matters. So I stamped that background using the Unicorn or Hero Arts Unicorn white pigment ink. And now we have the bunnies. I think a couple of the bunnies, I forgot to put the little inserts for the ears in, but I do it off camera, but they all have the little white insides of the ears. I really felt like it just added a little something extra to it. For some reason, this one I did not run through my die cut machine. I was just using my little tool. Maybe I do here. Some of it just overlapped and I needed it really close together, so I had to do it separately, some of the pieces. So, you know, you just figure out how that works and it goes really easy. Look at how pretty this is though, all the gorgeous teals. And for sure I thought these were going to be my favorite cards because that's my favorite color, aquamarine, teal. Love it. But those other ones we did before I think are my favorite. Okay, now I'm going to run it through the die cut machine to get those other ones pressed down really, really well. So let's remove that release paper. And then what I found interesting was when I used the Field Notes stamp set, the color that I was looking for, I used Distress Oxide inks, and I was just searching and searching for the right color, and I ended up pulling out Evergreen Bough, and it was the most perfect color to match with these rub-on transfers. Like, absolutely perfect. I was kind of shocked by it, but I was so happy. So you'll see here when I stamp this off, like it totally matches. Look at how gorgeous that is. It's so pretty. Salvaged patina didn't work. Peacock feathers didn't work. Broken china didn't work. Like none of those worked. But evergreen bough, I kind of remembered. I'm like, that has a little bit of teal to it. And it came out perfect. So let's get some little stamped images here. Again, stamping off because I want a second generation stamping. I want it to be light. I don't want it to be super dark. And just getting some of these pieces here. I am letting the stamped images overlap into all the areas. Like that part does not matter to me. I'm not trying to keep that quarantined to any section at all. But I loved how these turned out. Cute, cute. So after this, we have 2 more that we're going to do that turned out really, really pretty. And so this is me. I'm sure I've talked about this before. As far as mass producing, I don't mind mass producing if they can look different. But mass producing the exact same card over and over and over is absolutely mind-numbing to me. And I admire people that can do it. That is not for me. So doing something like this, having different color palettes, having different inks, choosing different pattern papers, but it still is the same card design, I love. I'm using that bow die, and I just used one of the rub-ons, and I'm going to die cut that. And my friend Marisha on one of her lives says, just put down your rub-on transfer. Don't take the paper off the top. Place your die cut on it. Run it through your die cut machine, and it's going to press and die cut. So you're going to get your die cut image, and it's going to press your rub-on transfer at the same time. And I'm like, sometimes I don't even think about those simple things. So she's a genius. And so that's what I did when it came to that bow. And then that sentiment says he is risen. Okay, this one is the Color Swatch Grove from 49 and Market. I loved all of this gorgeous, gorgeous green. And of course, the color that matches that is Peeled Paint Distress Oxide ink. So we're going to be using that for our little stamped images. And so this one, I am just putting the images over the whole background. You saw that I did that big, beautiful leafy plant right down the center. And then I added all of these butterflies. And then I'm just going to get my little stamps here with peeled paint. I'm going to stamp that off one time and then stamp it on the background. And this just turned out so pretty. I love all of that green. And peeled paint matched exactly. Like exactly. It's perfect. So let's get some stamped images here. And then this, I also used that same green Harlequin patterned paper because I loved it. And it even though it was a little bit softer, it still went really, really well with it. So I was glad I got to use, I used that pattern paper and the kind of pinky striped pattern paper twice because they just were so pretty. Okay, let's get this one finished up. We're going to place that bunny. And then I use that same matching pattern paper for the bow on this bunny. And these nested bunnies, I think there's 4 different sizes and 4 bows. And then there's kind of like this little ruffle collar that's also cute from that die set. I did not obviously use any of those little ruffled collars, but really, really cute. I love a good nested die. Okay, this is the Wild Blooms rub-on transfers from scrapbook.com. I am just placing them all in their own little areas here. I got most of those placed down, running that through my die cut machine, and now I'm just peeling off that release paper off of the top. And I'm going to add a few more little pieces. Now in these, you've got some little flowers, you've got butterflies, bees, which are really cute. So I'm going to add a couple bees to this. I'm going to add a couple flowers to these leaves over here. I think the colors of this is really pretty. It feels a little more summery color-wise, but who cares? It's all beautiful, right? I love all of them. So I'm just going to use that little Pick Pro Tool acrylic end to rub those flowers on there. We have this cute bumblebee. And I'm going to add some more flowers to that top centerpiece. Let me just look for those. There's tons of little small images in here, which is really fantastic. Cute hearts, just all kinds of fun, cute things. And I wanted to have a little bit more going on this background, but I loved that they were all kind of sectioned off. So imagine if you did this and then trimmed that die cut apart to where you have the individual like postage stamp pieces. That could be really cute. And you kind of group them together on a card. That would be really cute too, even without the bunny. So you could use these rub-on transfers, the rest of them, for different types of cards. Here is that Field Notes stamp set again, and I am using frayed burlap. And I'm just gonna get some of these images stamped here. And then we can get these cards put together. Now, I did want to finish these off with something. I was thinking like a sequence, but I didn't want anything shiny on here. So I'm actually going to be using some pops of color. But part of my issue was trying to figure out, do I use just a white? Do I use kind of a cream color? And I actually ended up using both. I used vanilla and just white, or vanilla bean and white pops of color from scrapbook.com. And the ones that were just more brighter white, I'm going to use the white on that. And the ones that felt a little softer or a little more vintagey, I used the vanilla bean. So I actually ended up using both. But look at that background. Isn't that pretty? And on that pretty striped pink paper, it totally worked. We have the He Is Risen sentiment that we're going to place right there, and the pretty little floral bow from a patterned paper. I couldn't tell you if that was it was probably from the Blossom one, but I'm not 100% sure. It could have been from Oak Lane. So here's where I was struggling, like, what do I do? So on these brighter ones, I'm going to use white, and you really can't see them a whole lot except for up close. It does add a finishing touch, but you could leave it off, but if you're going to use them, let them dry for a good long time, like, quite a few hours or overnight before you even put it into a envelope, or into an envelope. Yeah. So here's white, just a few little dots, and I kind of center them and group them around the sentiment and the bunny. Here is that vanilla, or the vanilla bean, excuse me. And then we're going to use white for this one. Cute, cute. Then let's take a look at these up close because they are so worth looking at. They are so pretty. I love them. Love them so much I don't want to give them away. Oh my gosh, isn't that pretty? That is the Wild Blooms rub-on transfers that I used for that card. That is the Teal rub-on transfers from 49 in Market. I do have everything listed, a link for you guys below in the description. This is the Color Swatch Grove from 49 in Market. Oh, it's so pretty. I love all those greens. This is the Field Notes from Arden Creative Studio. And then we have two cards using the One Perfect Day from 49 in Market. And oh my gosh, they're so pretty. I love every single one of these. Let me know what your favorite is in the comments. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed all of these projects. I hope I was able to inspire you to show how you can do some mass producing with different types of products, like using rub-on transfers, and see how easy that is, and keeping it to just a couple of dies, which is really super simple. I think all of these turned out wonderful. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and if you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. See you later. Bye.